The buying wars continue, with Sony in the process of acquiring Bungie. A next-gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 was spotted on PlayStation 5, and Final Fantasy VII spin-offs are on the way. This is your Daily Fix. The biggest news today by far is that Sony is in the process of buying Destiny maker Bungie for a reported $3.6 billion. This is a huge deal that comes in the wake of Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. The announcement came from a 10 a.m. all-hands meeting with Bungie staff this morning, with the news going public via Bloomberg Terminal and journalist Jason Schreier. For 20 years, Bungie has been an Xbox IP that put the console on the forefront of the industry. But now, the reins have been passed to Sony, and all it took was billions of dollars. According to GameIndustry.biz, Sony Interactive President and CEO Jim Ryan has said Bungie will remain a multi-platform studio, open to self-publish and reach players where they choose to play. Currently, the studio is working to maintain Destiny 2 and expand the Destiny franchise with a new IP on the horizon. Ryan continued with the statement, "This is an important step in our strategy to expand the reach of PlayStation to a much wider audience. We understand how vital Bungie's community is to the studio and look forward to supporting them as they remain independent and continue to grow. Like Bungie, our community is core to PlayStation's DNA, and our shared passion for the gamer and building the best place to play will now evolve even further." With Bungie now under Sony Interactive Entertainment, a creative new global future for gamers is starting to take shape. I just gotta ask though, with both Sony and Microsoft acquiring, where does that leave Nintendo? Moving on, if you've been itching to play Cyberpunk 2077 on a next-gen console, your time may have finally arrived. Per a tweet by PlayStation GameSide's Twitter account that often tweets findings across the PSN database, a new addition suggests that the long-awaited new-gen version of CD Projekt Red's RPG is coming soon. The entry indicated a native PlayStation 5 version of the game with a brand new cover art showcasing the female version of V from the game. A follow-up tweet from the account suggests the next-gen version of the game may release between late February and early March, though we shouldn't assume those dates are locked. The Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox Series X, S, and PlayStation 5 upgrades were delayed last year in October, with new dates set for sometime Q1 2022, according to an announcement made by CD Projekt Red to fans and investors. To ensure a smoother launch, developers needed more time to polish the game for next-gen consoles, and after multiple lawsuits from unhappy investors, we understand why they're taking plans to not mess up the launch again. This is really good news, considering a leak hinted that Cyberpunk 2077 DLC is coming sometime after April for both last and this gen consoles. If this holds true, then it makes sense why we're seeing new gen consoles get their own version of Cyberpunk 2077 ahead of the planned DLC. The real question is, are you ready for what the future holds, Samurai? And finally, it looks like we can expect a lot more from Final Fantasy VII, as creative director Tetsuya Nomura sets out to release more spin-offs of the game. With the success of Final Fantasy VII Remake in 2020, it's become very apparent to Final Fantasy Remake's producer, Yoshinori Kitase, that fans of the original and new fans who have never experienced Final Fantasy VII were drawn to its unique world. During the game's 25th anniversary, the official Final Fantasy VII Remake Twitter account made a statement celebrating the journey the series has had so far and announcing the release of the Battle Royale game, The First Soldier, with Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis coming to mobile late this year. Ever Crisis, a free-to-play single-player experience, will be a chaptered, structured entry covering the main game's timeline, coming to Android and iPhone in 2022. There are no details yet on what these new projects will play like, but they will come alongside the already announced sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. With Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 already in full development, both Kitase and Nomura assure us that more is on the horizon for Final Fantasy VII Remake releases and spin-offs, so we can expect to see some new developments in the near future. And that was your Games Fix for today, January 31st. What do you think about the Bungie acquisition? Let me know in the comments. Download the IGN app on all your devices. Follow the Daily Fix on Snapchat. And for everything else, head on over to IGN.com. I'm Narz, and remember to always stay fabulous.